Hey everybody, today I thought we'd do something a little bit different because I have just fully updated my Board Game Geek game list right here. And yeah, I thought I'd go over all my ratings for my games that I've owned, played, previously owned, everything. And we'd sort of go over them and discuss my thoughts after a while, because I have actually changed quite a few of these scores around now. So let's go over them, shall we? A little bit of fun. So as you can see right there, Super Fantasy Brawl is top. And it's going to be really interesting this year when I actually do my game list, basically, because I'm unsure what's going to claim number one. Because as you can see right there, I have 3 games at 10 out of 10s. We got Super Fantasy Brawl, we got X-Wing miniatures, and we have Raiders of the North Sea. Now, Raiders of the North Sea is an addition this year, so I only played this year, and oh god, what a game this is. I absolutely adore Raiders of the North Sea. I haven't even got the expansions. I just can't be bothered to buy them. I really don't want them, in all honesty. Having the solo cards for just base Raiders of the North Sea is absolutely amazing for me. I love playing this game. Yeah, every time I come back to it, I just enjoy it more and more. I've actually started adding AI into it, so the cards are basically meant to be like one-on-one, but I am using the cards to add like a second or third, just playing them out. And so what happens is, you get like this you versus 3 other AI characters, and it just changes the game up so much. It's so much fun. So much fun. I absolutely adore Raiders of the North Sea. And it's going to be interesting because what happens between that and Super Fantasy Brawl, because Super Fantasy Brawl is still fun. It's still amazing. I need to paint the miniatures, I know. I really do want to paint them up. I haven't painted since June. Yeah, it's been a long while. I haven't painted anything since June. Just really can't be bothered, in all honesty. Just really, I enjoying it. You know, every time I come up to it and I'm like, should I do this? Should I? I'm like, I've got it out and I'm like, oh, can't be bothered. Can't be bothered at all. Yeah, just can't do it. Can't do it. And so, I know I need to paint them up, and I'll probably paint them up at some point. I am thinking, because you got this new sodding technique doing the rounds, which is ink washing. It's ink washing. Simple as. But some bloke put a name on it. What is it? Slap cheek or something like that? Slap dash. I don't know. I see it all the while pop up. It's just ink washing. And yeah, I'm going to do that with them, I think. I am going to pick up the Army Painter ink set, probably for my birthday. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Do some ink washing on those and see how they come out, because I ain't really bothered about properly painting them up. I just want to get them done fast. Get them done. But yeah, I enjoy Super Fantasy Brawl. First edition, second edition. It is starting to get into that OP territory, because they have a few now reaching that top end, and the cards need adjusting with some of them, I think. I have no idea how they're going to adjust the cards, but if I basically just want to put it on the table, have half an hour playing solo, both sides together, because that's how I play it. I don't use the solo AI. I find it crap, in all honesty. I just play both sides and just enjoy it for what it is. That's how I play it. And yeah, I think it's great. I have so much fun playing Super Fantasy Brawl and Raiders of the North Sea. No one can tell me otherwise. X-Wing Miniatures game, I would still own that right now if it was still in first edition. Second edition killed all interest in me for that. I still love and still have nostalgic memories, even though it was only like, well, it was probably starting 6 years ago now. It was probably 6 years ago now. But yeah, I still have nostalgic memories of X-Wing first edition. I still think it's great. On to the 9s then. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 8 of them in the 9s. And we have some big heavy hitters right here. Some that you'll enjoy to see. So Marvel United, of course. I think everyone knows my thoughts on Marvel United. I've just done the video recently on Marvel United. So, you know, it's a great game. I just feel as though CMON hold it back. I think that's the trouble. I think CMON hold that game back. Very much so with what their business practices, basically. I am not interested in CMON continuing it, but that's just the way it is. I am more interested in Marvel United being continued by people on the Marvel United Facebook group. Someone recently is doing the Hellboy type Marvel United. That sounds interesting to me. That sounds really interesting. You got to purchase the rules. I don't think you purchase the rules off him. I think you purchase the 3D printed files off him, so as you can get the cards and then get the models themselves. But yeah, I think that'd be really great. That for me, the fans are gonna take Marvel United into a level where it deserves to be, basically. CMON got it in them. Blitzball Season 2, I have Season 3 on the way now. I think Season 2 is still fun, but I come across issues late on with Season 2 in terms of the capture cards. What are they called? The row of cards across the top, the point cards. So many of those late on, especially, were massive game changers, and it did spoil a lot of games to me towards the end. I haven't played Blitzball Season 2 for a long while now, probably February, maybe March. I haven't played it for a very long time, and yeah, for me it just got stale because of the cards, and I hope that Season 3, whenever it comes, hopefully soon, that they have changed that up. And I'm interested in seeing how the big guys work out, even though I don't own any of the big guys that are in it. I don't own the halflings, actually. Halflings were broken, apparently, in Season 2. Yeah, apparently they were. Goblins always seemed broken a little bit to me because they had so much that they could do, but they were weak. I really do want to see how it all hangs off, and I'm going to be painting up some of the models that I have got very, very soon. Again, I'll probably do them in the slap cheek, slap dash style. I need to look up that. Slap chop. There we go. That's it. Slap chop. Slap cheek. I first slap dash. It seems very slap dash. Don't know if other people use that word in the UK. I know we do over here in the Black Country, but very slap dash. We use a load of words though, don't we? Oh yeah, who was that? Wayne wore it. Wanted to hear how we say I. That's how you say it. You say it really fast. I. Yeah, that's just the way we speak. Proper speak. Oldest language in the country, which is still going and all. Dates back to Mercian. Brilliant. I could probably be transported back in time and still people would understand how I speak. That's hilarious. But Massive Darkness 1. Where's Massive Darkness 2? Or does it just come under Massive Darkness? It must do. Must just come under Massive Darkness. Anyway, I've just forgot to put it on. I'll give them both the same score anyway, 9. I love Massive Darkness. I think it's the best dungeon crawler I've got. I think it's great. It's so fun to play. You can play it straight solo. You can play it with up to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters as one bloke controlling it. You can do anything. It is absolutely amazing. I love just... because it's Diablo, right? First Massive Darkness was more like Diablo 3. And Massive Darkness 2 feels more like Diablo 1. So they've kind of gone back a little bit because your characters are more in tune. They can't just pick anything up and use it. They have to have specific abilities and decks and cards and things that they can use, and they have specific powers that they have to use and can only use at certain points. Massive Darkness 1 felt like Diablo 3 because you can basically do anything you like and you can plug and play things at different points as well, with Massive Darkness 1, so they had an inkling of where they wanted to go, and Massive Darkness 2 actually followed up on that really, really well. I don't think I've done a playthrough on the channel of that, actually, have I? It's so hard to table. It is sodding massive. It fills my kitchen table whenever I play the sodding thing. I've played all the levels of Massive Darkness 2, and I've played some of the new fresh levels, but not all of them of Massive Darkness 1 reskinned into the 2 formula, because I own everything for Massive Darkness 1. I got all the DLC and everything like that, but I only have base game Massive Darkness 2, and I have a Necromancer. I think I got a Bard. I don't know. I'm missing one of them. I haven't got the DLC pack, the stretch goal pack, so I can't speak for any of them. And I haven't got any of the fairies and cutesy, cuddly teddy bear things, whatever those are. There was a load of tosh that come in the Massive Darkness 2 Kickstarter, I will be honest. Didn't have Heavenfall as well, which adds a campaign. I'm not bothered about a sodding campaign for Massive Darkness. The whole idea of Massive Darkness is you shove it on a table and you go in and bash the hell out of some enemies and then pack it all away. That for me is the fun in Massive Darkness. You just test things out and you see how you grow over the course of just one level. Never really interested me a campaign for that sort of thing. I suppose it's because I don't have a gaming table. I only have the kitchen table, and I cannot give the time to playing it every sodding day. You know, I play Massive Darkness probably once a month. I did obviously play through Massive Darkness 2 quite a lot when I first had it, but you know, that aced the table for a while now, and I think it was last July or something like that when I played one mission of Massive Darkness 2, and I was just testing out the Necromancer against somebody. Necromancer's fun. Necromancer will always be my favourite class in all these things, but that's just the way it is. It doesn't get to the table very much, and so it's much like Zombicide Black Plague that we're going to talk about next, because that's my favourite Zombicide. Again, table's easy, adds a little bit more better controls than first Zombicide, and I have a feeling that that's going to be the next one, a Zombicide Black Plague 2, I have a feeling, and I won't bother. I'm not going to bother with that one, Simon, so I'm going to stick with the Zombicide Black Plague that I've got, because I really enjoy it. For me, it is the best Zombicide with the Necromancer, and the way that the game is structured and plays goes more into the fantasy aspect. When they introduce the guns and everything, and it's just awkward. First edition guns. Second edition it was a little bit better gun wise, but still crap. Second edition we'll talk about in a bit. Wasn't as fun. For me, Black Plague is just probably the best fun Zombicide that you can own and play. It's great to get to the table. It's easy. You chop some zombies up and get to the end and escape, and it is a one and done again. One and done games I think are brilliant. I'm not much into the campaign type stuff because I can't table it. I struggle to table it. Settlers of the North, Empires, whatever. They are Imperial Settlers, Empires of the North. Let's say it properly, shall we? Give it its due because it is amazing. That's a game that I bought for, what, 15 quid? Yeah, it's so much fun. It's not a deck builder, is it? It's a resource. I can't remember the type of game it's called. You build resources up and you just basically field more things in your town as you grow. Resource management, is it? They got names, these board games have, and I am so out the loop. It's unbelievable. They're just games to me. I know certain things like ones we'll talk about a bit. Small World of Warcraft, that's area control. Longshot is a roll and write. The Zombicide and Massive Darkness are dungeon crawlers. Marvel United is a boss battler. Raiders is a worker placement. Super Fantasy Brawl is just a skirmish game, I want to say. I can't remember what this is. I literally can't remember. Resource management. That's it. You just build up your town, city, whatever, village, and you get certain resources and you play cards, and it's great. I love it because there's like 6 factions in the base game. I haven't any of the expansions, and I was supposed to be buying the solo only one, but I couldn't afford it at the time, so I never bothered. I'll pick it up next year or something like that whenever it comes to shops. But yeah, I love Imperial Settlers. It was so fun to just see everything come together. And it's an engine game, isn't it? Engine builder. Resource management engine builder game. That's what I want to say it is. Because you got like a train. You start off really small, and then the train gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as you go into various places, and you go through all your deck and everything, and really start to build up and get loads of points for the specialities of each individual class that you've got. And speciality, yeah, like the snowmen ones are good at fishing, the Eskimos, the Vikings are good at raiding, the Scotchmen are good at getting food and growing things a bit better and things like that. I'm going to shut up now because I'm going to start getting stupid and I'm going to sound like a right buffoon. Gloomhaven, everyone knows what Gloomhaven is. I don't own Gloomhaven as a base game. Have you seen the size of that thing? I'd never get it tabled. But I own Gloomhaven on digitally, and for me it's amazing. I could see why people love it as a dungeon crawler because of the puzzle aspect to it. It entirely is a big full-on puzzle game, right? With card and deck management, and because you have to play 2 cards at a time, and you can discard cards, and some moves get rid of cards, burn cards, and your movement is tied to the cards and everything. You know, it is a giant puzzle to get you through the entirety of it, and it's a fun experience, even though I thought the story was a bit crap. So sorry about that. I thought the story was pants, in all honesty. Very much. I didn't enjoy the story to Gloomhaven, and that's why it will get a 9 out of 10. Thought the story was naff, and it didn't hook me in, it didn't grab me, and it didn't really push me on. It was more so the gameplay that pushed me on more so than anything else. Small World of Warcraft, area control game where you just literally just put tokens down on a field and start conquering stuff. It's great, and for what, 19 quid or whatever I paid for it from Game, I think that is amazing. They still have that on offer at 19 quid as well. I recommend everyone pick that up in the UK from Sodding Game. That is a deal and a half. It's such a great, fun game to play. You know, all you literally do is you have tokens, you have abilities, you choose your little army that you're going to conquer with, and you place so many tokens for each area that you're on, and then you pick them up next time, and then it lets you move on. And then it's all about knowing when to tire that faction so as you can get another one, and then tire that one so as the first one goes, and then you get a second one. Because it's all about gaining points and points and points and points. The whole idea of the game is to not get attached to your factions, especially your starting faction. So with Warcraft, it is a pain because I am very much into like Arthas and the Scourge or Dredge, whatever. Well, what are they called? The Dreadlords, Night Lords. I'm very much into the undead of Small World of Warcraft. You know, Warcraft 3, I was very much into the what Arthas was doing. Got heavily invested, and so yeah, I've never actually played World of Warcraft. So there is that. So some of the factions I'm unsure of, but I do like seeing the undead and stuff like that, and seeing the humans and the orcs. You can become attached to those things, and so yeah, that's the trouble with me playing a small World of Warcraft type thing. You do kind of get attached, and you don't want to tire them out sometimes, and it ruins your game plan. So you have to be a bit more lethal, and yeah, not care about them as much. So I'd probably be better off playing Small World, but I'd have never gone into Small World. It needed that Warcraft IP splashed onto it for me to even try the game. And yeah, it gets a 9 because it is fun. I loved it. I love playing Small World of Warcraft because it has such a small playtime as well. Even solo, when you're playing against the Murlocs, it's such a small playtime. It's brilliant. I can knock a game out within like half an hour, and its setup is fast. You know, it's got like 2-3 minutes setup. It's brilliant. Such a great game to play. Yeah, I can even play that when the sodding kids are running about me. It's great. That's why I have so much fun with it. Moving on to the last number 9, Longshot the Dice Game. I've already done my review on this, and wow, it is so great. Longshot is super fun. It is absolutely amazing. It's a game my family actually enjoy. It's like the only game we've got that my family actually enjoy playing with us. And yeah, I love it. I love playing solo. It's just great. You know, you roll some dice, mark off a few things with the roll and write type actions, and you just, yeah, enjoy and have fun. And it's over within 20 minutes, and then you can play again if you want. I can't say enough good things about Longshot the Dice Game. It is great, and I've talked about it in my reviews. And as you can see here, all the 9s, they're owned, right? And the 10s, except for X-Wing. They're owned, and they are staying. When we get into the 8s, that's when the previously owned start coming in. Okay? And there is a reason for that, because we need to talk about some of these. So these are the games that are good but not great, you know, and in all honesty, I might not keep all of them. So if we go on to the ones that I still own, Cricket the Game, that's staying. I love cricket. Everyone knows I love cricket. Love playing cricket properly. Yeah, I think this is probably the best rendition of cricket you can get on the tabletop. And 0 point, thumbs up to them. Those lads, brilliant. You know, great Kiwis there, doing a fantastic job. And I'd like to try their rugby game, actually. Never been a fan of rugby, but I would like to try their rugby game because, yeah, I just would. Because I know that cricket's great, so I'd like to try the rugby one. It's just bloody expensive. Getting it to this country would be ridiculous. Yeah, you can't do it. Can't do it at all. Way too overcosted, really. And it's not on their fault, it's just global shipping prices, eh? It's just what it is. Seventh Wonders Duel, I've played that now 3 times. Took me absolutely ages to actually play that game. It's good. It's not overly fun and exciting to table, and I'm probably going to sell it. I probably am. Yeah, you have to play solo, you have to download the cards and print them all off. Lucky I've got a good printer now for once. But yeah, it's good, and I can see the attraction to it, but I can see this one being previously owned at some near future. Scum of the Earth, I have just recently received that one, and I've played it like 4 or 5 times now, and it's a vast improvement on 1066. It changes up the drafting mechanic because of the way the cards work now. There are like 2 or 3 forms of getting your cards in hand and playing the game that way. I actually have been rather enjoying it, though I do struggle with the rules for placing the enemy cards once they're full. I do mess up so badly whilst I'm doing that. could do with a good cheat sheet to say what you get rid of. I'm sure it's somewhere in the rules properly. I think people don't understand me sometimes when I say I tend not to read rule books. I think people forget that I am partially blind. My reading of things is bad. It is. I'm partially blind on my left eye, but my reading of things has got worse because of it. And sometimes I miss things easily, and I can't find things in rule books. And so I tend to watch people play online more so than anything else. And that's just the way I do things, right? That's just the way I have to do things, and that's why I mess up on rules and stuff like that, and it's why it takes me so long to play certain games sometimes. It does become a problem, and so could have done with like a cheat sheet type thing telling you how to get rid of certain cards at certain points. It probably is in there somewhere, I just haven't seen it, basically. Yeah, it's not my fault. It's just one of those things. I know some people are anti-it. Well, I just ignore those people now because they tend not to listen to you anyway. But I can see me keeping this for now because it has been fun. I just don't see me keeping it long term. I can see me getting rid of that probably next year because I can see it not being played. I'm playing it now, but I can see the point where it just doesn't get played, and so I probably will previously own it. But for now, it is staying, obviously. Undaunted Normandy, I think, is absolutely amazing with the solo AI rules from the reinforcement set. This is what I wanted from a World War II game because I can't play stuff like Bolt Action anymore, and it basically fits on a table and you play it and it takes you like half an hour to 45 minutes to play a game, and you feel like you've played a World War II war game, and yeah, against an AI bot, and it's fun. I've played every single one now of Undaunted Normandy, every single chapter, and I loved it. I think it's great, and I probably will be keeping that one permanently. Space Hulk 3rd edition, number 8. Yes, I love Space Hulk. I think he's fun. It is what I enjoy out of games like Massive Darkness and that one, right? It's one-off, no campaign, just literally put it down on the table, play a one-off game, boom and done, put it away. And then play another one whenever you feel like. It's also got Terminators, which are fun. It's got Gene Stealers, which are fun. You always feel like you're struggling, and I enjoy it. I enjoy playing Space Hulk. It's always been one of my go-to games from Games Workshop to play. It's fun and great, and it's a good time, you know. I love Space Hulk, and so that one will always be staying because it took me so long to blooming own the thing. Street Fighter the Miniatures game I have just recently got rid of, and I got about 170 quid for it, something like that. I got about 170 for it, which I thought was a bit of a loss. I can't remember how much I paid for it in all honesty because it was so long ago and it took forever, and we had to pay then postage on top and then VAT to get into the country, and then Sodding Royal Mail charge you for the sodding thing and all. Oh, it was really bad how that Kickstarter was run, but it was a great game. It was super fun to play, even with the AI that someone crafted. It was great, fun, enjoyable. It is Street Fighter, and I didn't enjoy certain aspects of it, like the 3D maps and things like that. I thought the 3D maps was terrible. I enjoyed the 2D map. That was how I used to play Street Fighter the Miniatures game. 2D, one either side, you know, just like the computer game, and playing against the solo AI. Some were stronger than others. Mostly, though, it was always close. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It was just the way it was. And that's how it should be. I think it's literally a battering game, right? So unlike Super Fantasy Brawl, which is all about collecting points, Street Fighter the Miniatures game was literally about playing cards and battering your opponent and battering them to zero. I don't own a game like that. I don't. And that's why I think that I probably should have kept it, but it was just too big and bulky. And yeah, I just didn't have the room for it in the end. And so that's just the way it is. I got some money for it, and that money will go towards something else, probably. So that's that. Imperium Classics next. Imperium Classics took too long to play. That was my only concern with Imperium Classics. A game of Imperium Classics used to take 3 hours, and it was boring. It got boring very, very fast when you got to around about the midway point and you're like going, okay, I do this, I play this, so get rid of those. And then the AI does this. And it's like, it got boring very, very fast. I would have liked to have tried the other version. What is it? Imperium Mysticals? I don't know. The other one. There was the Imperium Classics, which was more like actual historical figures, and then there was stuff like King Arthur and things like that, weren't there? That one, basically. Yeah, I would have liked to have tried that, but nah, I just didn't bother in the end, and I got rid of it. Summoner Wars 2nd Edition. What an absolutely fun card game that is probably a great rendition on what I would say like where Yu-Gi-Oh should have gone. Very much. I loved Summoner Wars 2nd Edition. Absolutely loved it. Trouble with it, solo was very, very difficult playing both sides. You tended to forget things quite a bit. And also, some of the decks and things weren't as good as the others. And it was quite difficult to keep track of and just play for fun. So I didn't table it in the end. I only played Summoner Wars 2nd Edition probably around about 6 times, and it was such a pain in the backside after that. This is one of those games where I feel it could do with a good digital implementation, because I feel as though it would be amazing digitally to play people online or to play against an AI that knows what it's doing. I know they have the demo deck version online, and that was how I played this game first. I played the demo deck, which was I think it was Goblins, but in the end Summoner Wars felt too much like Super Fantasy Brawl to me, and so that way it didn't get tabled. I preferred to play Super Fantasy Brawl, and that is what it's previously owned. And I basically got my money back for Summoner Wars. I think I paid 30 quid and I got like 28 quid back, something like that. So I basically did get my money back. Number 7s. We're nearly down the bottom of the list now, because we're not far off, in all honesty. Some of the ones when we go a bit lower are going to be controversial, I think. But number 7 is Counter Attack, and as you can see, it is now previously owned. I just didn't table it, and the main reason for that is the fact that it took 90 minutes to play, and setup time was slow. You know, setup and drafting and everything, you're talking half hour before you've even gone into the game. And then you got to literally play 2 45-minute halves. And so I didn't play it. It is probably the best version of footy on the table. Again, I think it is. It could have done with a good AI variant for a solo. And it could also have done with a good variant for not playing 45 solid minutes each half. You know, something to speed it up a little bit. That's what I felt it could have needed. And if they do a 2nd edition, I'm sure that he might do that. But yeah, I just didn't table it. If I would play anything with my son, I'd get Sabutio out. It's over in 10 minutes, then. That's just the problem with solo gaming. Sometimes you just need to be able to table these things, setup wise and everything. It just didn't get there, so I had to go. Green Horde I still own, but I realistically, let's get my words out right, not sound like a drunk. I had cider for a long while. I still own this, but it probably will be previously owned at some point. Basically because I don't table that one. If I'm going to play a Zombicide, I play Black Plague. Green Horde's fun. The zombie orc bosses and things like that, they are swines to kill because they have like 2 healths, and your access to the, what's it called, catapult thing is amazing. I love that aspect of the game. It is basically Black Plague 2, except I'd prefer to just field Black Plague. So I'm just waiting to get rid of it, I think. I don't know why I still own it. Probably because I can use the Massive Darkness stuff. I can use the Black Plague and Green Horde stuff that I've got because I own everything. I can use that in Massive Darkness, so that's where it gets used more so than anything else. Yeah, I just think it's time to get rid of it. Doom the board game, fun, great, dungeon crawler, doesn't get played. Simple as. It was okay. You did playing solo really didn't feel like the Doom guy. And the trouble with that is the solo AI bot, which I think is on here. That's what I used to play it on. The solo AI bot was a little bit easy to go against, and you as the Doom guy, you basically wrecked face everything you come across. You know, you weren't trapped in there with them, they were trapped in there with you. That sort of thing, that Rorschach sort of thing. Yeah, you felt too strong and too overpowered, especially even later on when you were going against the, what they're called, Hell Demons or Cyber Demon or whatever it is that was in that box set. It needed a good second edition. It needed a Doom Immortal type upgrade. I'd love to play a Doom Immortal type upgrade with the, what are they called, that used to chase you around? Yeah, that big bloke. Can't remember. He chases you all the way. Marauder chases you all the way through the game. Oh, it was so much fun playing Doom Immortal against him. Oh, happy days. But yeah, it needed something extra, I felt. It needed a second edition, because that's why it's now previously owned. Five Nights at Freddy's. I think this is great. I love Five Nights at Freddy's. The game that we got from Smith's. I think we bought that up for my son. I can't get rid of that because it's my son's. And I don't think I will get rid of it. We do play it occasionally. My son plays it, and I might whip it out occasionally on the tabletop. But yeah, it doesn't get played all that often. But when I do play it, it is actually very, very fun to play. It's, a very simple card game where it's in fact a card memory type game, because you have to think about where the bots are in relation to the points of the certain decks that whittle down eventually, and you just have to survive. It has kind of I do feel it's a little bit easy sometimes. Sometimes it can just wreck face straight away and you get caught. It's just one of those. On to Nemesis, which is previously owned. It took too long to play. It's probably the best version of Alien you can get on the tabletop. But it takes you, even when you're playing solo. Solo is so crap. It really is. Solo on that Nemesis, just having one human survivor, is atrocious. You really do need to start with, I'd say 3 at least, even as a solo player, to make it a little bit fun. And as you increase the player count, it takes so sodding long. I mean, I had a game when I played with, the 5? Was it 5 or 6? I played with everyone. And that took around about nearly 5 hours to play. And don't get me wrong, it was a great little narrative that I got going on, because I think around about 3 or 4 of them died, and one got away, and the other one was left on the ship to blow up. It was a great little narrative, and it's good for that sort of thing. Nemesis for me is like a game that is so much better as a group, but the trouble with introducing a group to it is the fact you have permadeath, and then once they die, they're out the game. So it's like one of those where it's like a cross between a solo multiplayer hybrid. It's better at multiplayer, but permadeath kills them, and so they're just sat around twiddling their thumbs while you play. And you can die early in this game, believe me. You can have a character die in the second room. It is dreadful for that, and it's just one of those. It is fun. I think it's a solo only game for me, and you need the time to play it and the time to set it up. It takes ages. It takes you like half an hour, 40 minutes to set the blooming thing up. And that was just the time. It was the time commitment to it. I wasn't committed to the time aspect of getting it on the table and playing it. So yeah, it had to be previously owned. Book It, the pro wrestling promoter card game. It's just plain bog standard average. It's okay. It's alright for like a 40-minute playtime, especially solo. I've only played this solo. But yeah, again, it just doesn't sit the table that much because it's just okay. There's nothing really hooking me to play it. Once I'd played through all the promotions that I could have and got a pretty decent score on most of them, I've never played it since. And I am actually actively trying to sell this one right now, but no one seems to want to pay it. So we're on to the 6s, where as you can see there's a lot of previously owned. I need to take owned off that one actually. A lot of previously owned, and you can see why I get rid of previously owned stuff, because they just don't get played. So Hogs of War didn't get played. Okay, 2 people card game, not very good solo. Nah. Yeah, just not very good. Blood Bowl 2nd Season Edition. Can we not talk about that? For me, this ruined everything about Blood Bowl. Getting rid of throw-in. Getting rid of anything with low armor. Making it all about high armor, high bash. Just charge straight through. It's the Dwarf Edition, right? It's the You Shall Not Pass Edition. The Gandalf Edition. For me, they ruined Blood Bowl with that edition. It's just my thoughts. I think Blood Bowl's crap now, and it is basically a digital only game for me now with the way the rules are. I'm waiting for Blood Bowl 3, which seems to be Blood Bowl 3rd Season Edition will probably be out by the time Blood Bowl 3 comes out, and then the Blood Bowl 3 will be outdated. But yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. It probably should be lower. For me, yeah, it ruined it. Completely ruined Blood Bowl. 1066 Tears to Many Mothers. I've done a review on this. Again, I think, in all honesty, it was a bit bland, a bit boring. And I think that 1815 changes everything that I thought was wrong with this system by introducing more 0 cards and 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s and changing the resource cards, because here you had too many resources at some points if you got lucky and got the certain cards out. Yeah, I just think that 1815 takes this game to another level. Growing Season. Part of me wishes I hadn't sold this. Part of me does, and then part of me is like, I probably wouldn't play it and it'd be sat upstairs, because it was fun, but it wasn't amazing. And, I can play Growing Season on Tabletop Simulator and play it in 20 minutes and have the experience that I would have wanted to have by owning Growing Season. So, I sold it for like 50 quid because it's impossible to get hold of. So there was that. I made more money on it than I paid for it. So part of me is like, yeah, you probably should have sold it. Part of me wanted to keep it because I would occasionally like to play it, because it's still probably one of the best farming games that I've played here. So there's that to it. I get conflicted about Growing Season because it was good, just not amazing. Exit the game. I've only played this one for the Exit series so far, and it was okay. My wife didn't enjoy it whatsoever. She prefers going to the escape rooms that we go to occasionally. It's not a great experience, and the fact you have to chop everything up, that's kind of not good for the environment and all that lot. I've never been one for that. I'm not a Greenpeace person. It doesn't really bother me, but I still understand that you are buying something for 12 quid or whatever I paid for it, and you're just literally chucking it in the bin as soon as you've played it for like an hour. Yeah, not the best, really. I would prefer to go to, like the wife, a place where you actually are doing everything physically. DC the deck building game Rebirth. I've got a 6 there because I've only played it twice. I've not tabled it properly. Not properly experienced much of it. And the trouble with me is I didn't really enjoy the 2 playthroughs that I did play of it. And so I don't know how I feel about it just yet. You see, people compare it to Marvel Champions, and I look at Marvel Champions and I'm like, well, it just looks like the DC deck building game that I already own. And so, because I didn't really enjoy this one, I don't think I'll bother with Marvel Champions. And I think I probably will just pre-own this at some point. I think I want to get a couple more tries, but yeah, it's teetering on that edge of becoming previously owned. On to the 5s, we have Zombicide 2nd Edition. Previously owned, boring, crap, ruined Zombicide. Made it less fun, made it simpler, but also not as simple. It's so hard to say, isn't it? Oh, I got completely lost for words then. It simplifies it streamlines things, but it does also make it not as simple to play. That's what I think I should say. And it also removes the fun element of Zombicide, which is going in somewhere, collecting a load of stuff, bashing zombies' heads in or shooting them, and then getting out. And yeah, it kind of ruined Zombicide for me, and I didn't enjoy it. So it had to go. And I made quite a bit of money on that. 350 quid I made for that, which I definitely didn't pay 350 quid for it. Under Falling Skies, I played that, 3 times? I didn't enjoy it whatsoever. A lot of people say that Under Falling Skies is one of the best solo games that you can buy. I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was boring and repetitive, and it just wasn't fun. As you place your things there and shoot them and maneuver the AI ships to where you want to go, and I just didn't enjoy it. It just wasn't great. I was bored for the vast majority of my playthroughs. That's why it gets a 5. And then we get into the controversial one. Major Knight the board game, 5. Still owned. I want that to change very, very fast. I have got this up for sale and I want it to go. I think it's crap. I think Major Knight the board game is terrible. It has ugly art, very old, it looks dated, the models are crap, the gameplay is not fun at all, the deck building mechanic, puzzle type thing, it's terrible. You can see what it was, because this is old, it's 2011. You can see what it was, and you can see what Gloomhaven took from it, and how Gloomhaven improved upon it. So many parts of the Major Knight board game are so overtly complicated for no sodding reason. Stuff like the certain magics and the certain sodding armour and stuff that people have, and how you receive wounds and things like that, and the fact that you basically can't die, you just get knocked out and lose time. It's just shit. There we go. Boring, repetitive. It's a slog. I didn't get on with it. If you enjoy Mage Knight, then fair enough. If you think that it's absolutely amazing and no one can shit on it whatsoever, then fair enough. Good for you. I'm glad you enjoy something. I'm super glad you enjoy something. I was bored out my brains every time I tried to play Mage Knight. And I've tried to play it, 8 times? Every single time. In fact, as I got further on, I only got like 20, 30 minutes into the game, and I was just like, what the hell am I doing here playing this shit? Because I didn't enjoy it whatsoever. And I've had arguments with people on the solo Facebook group about it, and that's just the way it is. Some games are meant for some people, some are not. And that is not meant for me. If it's meant for you, then enjoy it for what it is. But I very much disliked that game whatsoever. I feel it could do with a good digital adaptation to really bring it out of its shell and bring it into the modern age. Or it could just do with needing a redo, a game found redo like Castles of Burgundy recently, right? That's what it could do with. Needs bringing into the 2022s or 2023s, whatever. That's what it needs, you know. It's older than my eldest son. My eldest son was born in 2012. It's older than my eldest son. In fact, 2011 depends when in 2011 it was because I met my wife. Yeah, I met my wife in June 2011. So there we go. That was when I first started courting my wife. There you go. And yes, that does mean that if my son was born in 2012, that she fell pregnant straight away. Yes, that was very much fast. It was that fast, yes. Moving on. Dark Souls, the board game. I think enough people have talked about Dark Souls, the board game, haven't they? Yeah, boring, rash, repetitive, definitely in need of a second edition. I'm hoping Elden Ring is much better. I'll certainly be having a look at it because, you know, it's Elden Ring and hopefully it should be like a Dark Souls 2. So everything they have learned from Dark Souls that failed basically gets pushed into that, like you getting certain monsters certain times and getting certain abilities and cards certain times, much like Massive Darkness 2 you do. It needs that sort of growth and progression aspect taking you on further and further and further. You know, you don't just want the most overpowered claymore straight away and you can basically just thrash through absolutely everyone and every single thing like you can in Dark Souls, the board game, and then second time round you don't get the claymore and you are struggling through the entirety of it. So you're constantly dying, rinsing, repeating everything. Yeah. For me, I'd rather play Dark Souls, the computer game. So hopefully Elden Ring does refresh that, because I have heard the new expansions for Dark Souls do refresh the gameplay up. Dune Imperium gets a 4. Boom! Look, I enjoyed Dune Imperium, but it's one of those games where the more you play it, the more you realise that how shit it actually is. Yeah, very much so. Very, very much so. Dune Imperium's got that bewitching factor. You know, it's like being with a perfectly good blonde at first. She is absolutely amazing, right, when you first get together. And then after a while, you realise she's battering you. And you're like, yeah, this is not right. This isn't right. And you realise she's being overly protective and making it so you can't do things, and she's dictating to you what you can and can't do, and then you start getting whacked over the head with a rolling pin or whatever she's got in her hand. Yeah, that for me is Dune Imperium. It seems amazing when you get into your first couple of games, first couple of times. Feels really great, you know. You feel like you're playing with someone special. And then under the surface, as you develop it later on, you realise that, no, I was tricked. Because the solo AI in Dune Imperium is just crap. Really is. It apparently needs the app to become fully functional properly, and you need the Inquires expansion or whatever it is to get a much better experience. For me, base game should be great in the first place, and it's not. Yeah, not for me after several playthroughs, especially once I discovered how to basically beat the AI near enough every single time, unless you got unlucky. Yeah, really the Emperor's clothes fell off that one very, very fast. And so that's why it's a 4. And he's sold. And I got my money back, which is great. Bloodborne the board game. Sold that the other day. And I made a total of, I'm not going to say. But I made more than I paid for that. Yes, I did. I made more than I paid for Bloodborne the board game. Not a little, only a little bit more. But I think people know my thoughts on Bloodborne the board game. Base game, it's terrible. I could not play base game Bloodborne. It just did not feel like Bloodborne. It did not feel like the Dark Souls games. It felt like a boring, slog, repetitive game. And the way that the hunt track worked, the way that you could basically, I'm going to die. Okay, I'll just spawn to the Hunter's Dream, shall I? I'll just instantly just spawn whenever I feel like, yeah, because I haven't got the cards to deal with it. So what I'll do is I'll go to the Hunter's Dream. That's a nice tasty card right there. We'll pick that one up and this one up, and then, oh God. For me, it was crap. It felt nothing like the board game. It felt nothing like the computer game. And it was a terrible board game. And when I discovered that, what do you call it on Reddit, the solo rules changes, basically, it actually felt like Bloodborne, and it felt really good to play, and I played through the entire lot, and I thought it was fine. But that's with a person taking the time out to craft something that the game makers should have done in the first place. I have rated Bloodborne the board game a 4 based on the actual what you get from buying Bloodborne the board game, because not everyone's going to track down the solo AI rules, the house rules. Not everyone's going to do that. So that is why I've rated it a 4. If I was to rate Bloodborne the board game the house rules, I'd give it a 7 or an 8. For me, it really does double that score. But I'm rating this solely as the base game. And I think the base game is terrible. Adventure Tactics Domains Tower gets a 4. And I've just sold that this morning. Actually took a £5 loss on that. So I have finished it. It's what I was playing during the summer whilst the kids were here during the 6 weeks holiday. I wanted to finish Adventure Tactics all the way through, and I finished it, played it every couple of days, every 2 or 3 days. Actually got it to the table and played it because I was determined to get to the end, and I was going to do a review on it, and I thought I best not, because I had so much hatred and vile towards the end that, yeah, I just don't think it works as a game. It just doesn't for me. It's supposed to be like Final Fantasy Tactics, and all those, and it's just not. You get so worn down by what you want to do that you realise that you have to basically cheat the game system. And I think the game makers wanted you to cheat the game system to actually physically play it properly. Because what you have to do is you basically have to take a little bit of each individual class, and from everywhere. You can't go down one specific line. I wanted to have a full-on barbarian, a full-on necromancer, a full-on ranger, a full-on paladin, all that lot. I wanted to have full-on those. But if you want to go down those lines fully, you get bogged down with the fact that you lack other things like movement and things like that. What game introduces movement in your sodding cards except for Gloomhaven? It should have base movement. All the Final Fantasy Tactics stuff, right? All those have movement tied into the sodding game. You get to certain points, I got to certain points where I was the necromancer and I was like, drawn these 4 cards here. I have no sodding move. So he's literally stuck for most of the game right at the back. And then I realised that I couldn't go down the Necromancer line properly. I had to bring in other people's cards so as I could have more movement cards. And some of the others, you wanted to have more like range cards later on. Range is so overpowered in that game, it's unbelievable. And I discovered it very, very early that it was just OP having range characters. And so you eventually, what you'd like to do is to have some who could like tank shots and everything, and then you realise you're like, no, let's just have everyone sit back because of the lack of movement. Let them come to us, and then we'll just ping them off from range. Bang, 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 bang. With really high-powered archery stuff and spells and things like that. And you just decimate. For me, that is really bad game design and tactics, which is called Adventure Tactics. I just didn't enjoy it, and I finished it, and God's sake, when I finished it, I couldn't wait to sell it. Oof. Desperate in need of redoing, basically. Hopefully the new DLC stuff will do that. Villagers! Absolute dog crap. Boring. Slow. Repetitive. Turgid. The solo variant of this with the going against Maleficent, terrible. Half the time you want to build down a certain line track and you're stuck with the fact that the whatever cards are coming out and whatever cards are in the deck, half the time you can't even get to them. So you have to constantly change your tactics on the fly, and it's just like you end up going down one track and then you've realised that you can't get down the other tracks, and bad game design. Sorry, but it just is. Aliens vs Predator Hunt begins. I think a lot of people know that. What are my thoughts on this? I thought it was terrible. Absolutely terrible. You can't even get it now, I don't think, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but yeah, it was boring and crap and turgid, everything. There's a reason that they failed as a company with that game. Crap. Batman Gotham City Chronicles. Terrible rulebook. Models, absolutely gorgeous. Some of the best models you can ever buy. Love the models. The game, dog shit. I'm sorry, but it is. The rulebook was barely illegible. You know, you couldn't read it. You couldn't make out what you was trying to do. Solo-wise, it was impossible to play. Yeah, I hated the Conan type card cycle thing. It was just a game that I hated and had to get rid of and lost a lot of money on. I think I lost like about 60, maybe even 70, 80 quid selling this. Clash of Deck is a basic card game which cost £1 and is worth £1. I think it's boring, in all honesty. Previously owned. Got rid of it. I think I made about £3 on it. I think I got rid of it for about £4. I thought it was crap. Peaky Blinders under new management. I don't even class that as a game. I don't. I think my review states everything about Peaky Blinders that I got sold down a river, basically. It shouldn't even be called a Peaky Blinders game. All they did was slap 4 Peaky Blinders pictures on. That's simply all they did. Nothing to do with Peaky Blinders whatsoever. It is a absolutely terrible worker placement type game where you just get cards and the first one to get the most cards wins. There you go. Funko vs Strategy Game of Thrones. I remember buying this for like a tenner. Yeah. Oh my god, was it absolutely crap. I remember coming back from Blackpool last year, because that was when I bought it. Put it on the table and I was like, okay, we got this here, and then you do this. And I remember sitting back and going, is that it? Is that all this game is? Yeah, I gave this my brother last year for Christmas. Crap. Absolute crap. And my brother's a gamer. I didn't even know. So I gave him this. I was like, you know what? Let's just palm this off to him because you know, he doesn't play board games. Turns out my brother does play board games. He's got a better collection than me. Shows how much I know, my brother. But that's it. That's all the games. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Hearing me ranting and raving about some of the games that I've got. Should be interesting because I'm going to try and sort out some of these for a list towards the end of the year to see where we go. But that's it, everyone. Thanks.